Good morning, everyone. I hope you are having a great Tuesday. I think nowadays there's literally like a holiday or a special day for everything. But today is what do happy or I want to be happy day. So, hashtag I want to be happy day. So, my question for you today is what do happy people avoid doing? I bet you're really interested to know that, right? What do happy people avoid doing? But before we get to that, my name is Jackie Schwab, and I am the founder of the Press Play Lifestyle Signature System and a professional success coach. So, why this topic of what happy people avoid doing? Well, part of it was inspired by one of my clients. And the reason it was inspired by one of my clients was first of all, she's amazing. But second of all, what she's doing is she's working with a group to start a local community group to start a good news site. So she and her community are trying to find positive news and they want to share that positive news in their town. And so I thought, wow, what a wonderful opportunity to share a topic like this. She and I have worked together through our coaching to kind of look at different ways that she can get moving on that particular task. But the biggest point of all was she didn't just decide that she wanted to be happy and then, it just manifested. And I do believe, that there's some value to the laws of attraction and manifestation. But she did the work to bring the positive news and to bring the happy news into her community and into her day. And so I want to challenge you to figure out how many ways you can pay happiness forward today. And I would love it if you'd share in the comments anything that you've done throughout the day. So today's challenge is how many ways can you pay it forward? So let's get to the meat of it. So we're going to talk a little bit now about some things that happy people do to avoid being unhappy, I guess. So happy people avoid dwelling on the past. And a lot of people who spend time in the past are usually kind of sad, right? They're sad because their parent passed away, or they're sad for a regret they have. They wish they would have made a different choice. And happy people try to avoid dwelling on the past. With the complete opposite of that, and the exact same kind of idea is they also avoid worrying about the future. And people who worry about the future, very often they have more anxiety, right? They're anxious about what could go wrong. What if I don't do well? What if I miss an opportunity? What if I offend someone? So all of those things, happy people make an effort to avoid. So do you avoid worrying about the future? That's one that's a little harder for me. I try to stay out of the past if I can, but sometimes you have 4 little kids. I'm like, oh, what if we don't do this? What if we don't do that? Um, but that's what happy people in general, one of the things they try to avoid. So another thing that they avoid is holding a grudge. I used to think I was better at this than I am. For the most part, it takes an awful lot to make me unhappy, right? To make me feel poorly about someone. But had a few things happen in the last few years that I realized that I do have one of those points that once I finally have decided that I'm offended, apparently I'm not great about shedding that. Now, one example is my position was eliminated from a job that I had in, I want to say, let's go with 2013. I think that might make sense. I think I literally just stopped being ticked off about that one. So I certainly am sure that not holding a grudge is a significantly better way of moving forward. Another thing that happy people avoid is comparing themselves to other people. And again, I know that one's a hard one. And I think at some point we probably all do that a little bit. But happy people make an effort, like Siri's actually talking on all the stuff I'm doing right now. But happy people make an effort, like a strong effort, to avoid comparing themselves to others. And that's one of those things, like you remember some of us in our generation, my generation, it was like living up to the Joneses, right? Everyone wanted to be have everything that the other guy had. So that if somebody next door had a boat, they wanted to have a boat. Well, happy people just are happy. They don't care what you have. They don't think that you having it means that they don't have it. So that's another opportunity for happy people and what they avoid. The next one is happy people avoid ignoring the positive. So they're often very commonly celebrating some of the small things. And so, just like a really cool shout out to one of the podcast guests we had, her son is nonverbal on the autism spectrum, and he said one of his first words the other day, and he's a little bit older, and I thought it was great that she was just ecstatic, and which allowed me to share in that with her too, because Zoe talked a little bit later as well, and gives us that opportunity to not ignore those teeny tiny little things, and it helps us stay in a little bit of a happier space. The next thing that happy people avoid is focusing on the negative. I actually woke up this morning a little crankancerous, which is a bit unlike me, but I woke up and I was immediately grumpy about something. And then I was making up the story in my head that my husband was doing or not doing something. And my daughter was sick, my son was sick, and just all kinds of silly stuff. And I literally had to catch myself and go, "What are you doing? Like, why?" First of all, none of those things are even happening. So I was focusing on like a story I was telling myself. But the other was, for whatever reason, some small like thing had annoyed me, some negative thing, and I was kind of taking it for a ride. So most happy people try to focus on the positive, or at least not focus on the negative. Another thing that they try to avoid is worrying about the opinions of others. And and that's, even in little things. I know when we were struggling with our daughter's behavior when she was very small, as she is on the autism spectrum, one of the big things that I was struggling with was I was like, oh, people are going to think we're bad parents. They're going to think she's naughty, but she just couldn't, right? There was no way for her to handle what she was handling in a different way. And so the more we stopped worrying about the opinion of others, it's certainly the opinion of people that we don't know at all. We certainly are much happier in our home now. And another one that I think is probably a harder one, but happy people avoid staying in jobs that they don't love. And I have to say, I think this is true. My husband quit a job where his position was eliminated about a year and a half or so ago. And I had to tell you guys, like, he was so bored there and he really wanted something more. But he stayed. He stayed because he had a family and he thought that, that he needed to do that. But he is so much more pleasant now and so much happier to be around just because he doesn't have to go somewhere every single day that he hates. And so there's something to be said for, not having to work at a job that you totally hate, or at least turning your thought around about it. So happiness is a choice that you make each day. And what's interesting about this, and when I can see, I have a sister-in-law that sometimes doesn't like some of my positivity, but so I can see her saying, well, you can't always be happy and you can't always choose to be happy. Sometimes crappy stuff happens. Yeah, right. It does. Crappy stuff happens. Um, just saying every day you can make choices to avoid something that would have made you sad. Um, we're not all going to live in this joyous state or euphoria all of the time. But like this morning, I was kind of curmudgeoning around and being frustrated about stuff that didn't really matter. And when I sort of stopped and thought, what am I doing? And made a choice to try at least to behave differently, it's not like, oh, wow, my mood is perfect now. But it certainly helped, right? It was certainly much better than the grumpiness that I was starting out in and the mood that I kind of was starting to develop. So I think that, happiness can be a bunch of little choices every day. Or when you're worrying about the future, you take a moment to pause and go, am I a foreseer of the future? Am I magical? No, okay, maybe I don't know what's going to happen. Share awareness if possible. And so I think that, yes, there are happy people, there are sad people, there's all types of things. But if you can make that extra decision to catch yourself in one of those moods and try to turn it around, then, you'll be a little happier. So if you got any value from the video, please click like and share with a friend. If you have a curmudgeon friend who's perhaps having a rather rough day or had a rough week, maybe send this along. And I'm going to try to tag my lovely client who's doing some great good news, and also some of my podcast guests whose little guy had something to celebrate, if I can find all that info. But just, you know, give it a try. I challenge you again to find out how many ways you can pay it forward and pay happiness forward to others. And if you would like to, you can also join our free Success with Bounds for Entrepreneurs Facebook group, where you can connect with other like minded individuals that are also working hard to be a little bit happier every day. So, this is Jackie Schwab reminding you to embrace your pause, play the game that you want to play, and prosper with a life by design, not by default. All right, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye.